It's time to awaken and remember who you really are. It's time to live a life that you absolutely love. And it is time for the awakened being. Conversations to create change. Having real, transparent conversations that will change your world. And together, we can change the world. Hello, my beloveds. It is Sundari, and today on the Awakened Being Conversations to Create Change, we're really just having a divine consciousness jam session. Two glorious beings that I'm brought together with that, we just ended up hitting record, and so many golden nugget truths from two divine beings who live an absolutely amazing life. Afro Moses, who travels the entire world on stages all over, sharing his glorious, beautiful music that's very conscious and just so inspiring, uplifting, as well as my dear sister, Shanti Dharma. And so the three of us just ended up hitting record as we ended up just having some depth come through. So I hope you enjoy this. Know that you can also always go to marcilock.com, where you can get the ultimate life of having it all meditation to support you. My top recommendation is the Best Life Tribe, because there's so much value, support, accountability, coachings, all the extra trainings, you name it. There's a whole thing on that. So tune into that if that will support you. There's also coachings and meditations and activations that if you're having a particular area of life that feels like where you get to grow, where you're struggling, there's so much there available to serve and support you, and just taking the next inch and integrating into your life, living your absolutely best life of liberation, bliss, and abundance now. And I will just continue to remind you as you continue to remember who you truly are. Enjoy the show, my loves. I have like a really cool jam session that just showed up. Sitting, looking out at the harbor in Australia. I'm going to be headed to Melbourne tomorrow, and these two beautiful divine beings are sitting with me. One is Afro Moses, is at least your famous name, how you're known, would you say? And then I've got the lovely Shanti Dharma, also known as Angela in her real world name. And so yesterday I got to do this event here in Sydney, and Afro traveled up and rocked us out and jammed us out with some music. And I just met you this week, and yet he's been this divine conscious singer that really spreads messages of change for years. And when Shanti showed me your videos, I was just jaw dropped. I was like, what? Like conscious languaging, messaging with this amazing vibe. And so these two divine beings come to meet me, and we're like, tune in, we're going to go hit the ferry. What are we going to do? And all of a sudden we just start chatting. And Shanti's like, oh my gosh, somebody should hit record. So that's what we're doing. We're just hitting record and allowing whatever wants to come out and flow, come out and flow. Yet maybe, Afro, you can share a little bit about how you would say what you do and what your journey's been. You were dropping truth bombs left and right, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
My name is Afro Moses. I'm just a conscious African. When I was 4, I was like, I speak like 40 years, but
very
so
wise being.
I was born very old, and I'm getting younger.
Yeah.
This is what I did.
Yeah.
But in life, I've learned a lot, like being up and down, but still I've been in depression. But my English is not good, I hope you will understand.
You sound amazing.
But I like where I am now, like to share my wisdom, because we are all here as teachers and students.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And you said something, as you were sitting outside, and something that I loved yesterday. We had a deep dive day of looking at where we're out of alignment in our life and looking at what's operating unconsciously in our patterns and behaviors. And then we got to do this beautiful inner child connection, DNA activation, timeline hopping, and for them to come out and you just started jamming. And the thing that you said is, none of us are broken. You said we're all just disconnected, and we get to remember to reconnect. Yes. And it's like your message is just this, like, just remember that you're light, and you're jamming out these messages of light. And I just was like so in awe. Shanti, you started bawling right when he started singing.
My heart expanded so wide, and my eyes just started raining.
Yeah.
There's so much gratitude for the energy and the words that Afro brought.
Yeah, so beautiful. And so you bring these messages with this vibration and this feeling, this essence of light and celebration of life and all that we are. And then so today he sends me this audio of this mix that you did with Abraham Hicks speaking about Jesus and religion, and you in the background singing. And I just, again, jaw dropped, like such a beautiful conversation around us all being healed and whole, and kind of your journey between going from being Christian to learning to be an expansion of all things. And
it's incredible because that song, even I'm starting to learn how to play J sax, and I did almost everything by myself and in my studio in Ghana. Then when I go to Ghana, the way people believe that, some people think Jesus is God and all those kind of things. I used to ask myself a lot of questions, and almost my questions are answered. But I will never forget the teachings of Abraham, Esther, and Jerry Hicks.
Yeah.
You know, through Louise Hay.
Yeah, I love her.
Louise Hay, my ex-wife, mother, was my birthday, and he sent me this book. He has read it, and he don't read it anymore. He gave it to me as a present. And that day, I wrote even the date, some years ago.
Yes.
And I said, wow, this is the thing I've been looking for. I was searching for, because when I was a child, I was stubborn. When you say this, I'll do this. I would do opposite. Now I found that I was doing the right thing. Because when they tell me this, I don't believe it. So when I saw all the answers, the things I used to do in Louise Hay book, and I said, wow, these people live here and they have this thing, and still they don't even do.
Yeah.
And so I started. Then Louise Hay used to say in this book that if you want to hear more, listen to the teachings of Abraham. I said, who is that?
Yeah.
Then I make search and I find
Esther and Jerry.
I say, wow, this is the thing I've been searching for, because this is what I was, almost the things I used to do in my childhood, most of them is there.
Yeah. Yeah. You also are a lover of Wayne Dyer.
Wayne Dyer too. So when I came, there was years ago, they came here, and I said, I'm going to meet this lady. And I met her. And I met another time too, I met Duane Dyer. I met almost all of them. One guy also, he tells you about when your mother died, you call, and I met all of them. I have pictures with them. It also becomes like my soul, my brothers and my sisters.
Yeah, your teachers.
Yes, and teachers, you know. Yeah. So it's like, in this life, I found out that we have something strong that we don't even believe that we have it. Yeah. And because in religion has put us a kind of in prison, but at the same time, you never condemn, because every time religion did a lot of good things,
right.
You know. So whatever you are, that's what I'm learning. Like, you never condemn anything,
right.
Only just respect everything. For me, in my life today, I don't believe in witches, devil, evil, all this, but I respect it. But I don't believe it, because I found out that it's a figment of man's imagination to control.
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is that those are the labels we gave an energy, and we've labeled that as bad or wrong, or said it's, because I mean, a witch, someone could call me a witch, and it's like, yeah, I'm magical.
That's it.
I definitely own my multidimensional magic.
Don't take
Actually,
it negative.
Literally yesterday, someone tagged me in something and said, Marci Locke is one of my favorite witches, in a good way, right? Like, they meant like she's multidimensional. So we labeled maybe the feminine, even in different times of our history, that were tapped in and were able to see energy and work with different things, and they were labeled witches. And so I love that you're bringing to that what we understand is that anytime we have resistance energy towards something, it's judgment. You know, and judgment is judgment. Like, we can say that, I love, it's Byron Katie that says that, you know, the sky is blue. That's a judgment, right? And so it's not to ever put an energy of shame around anything, is to say that's okay if someone is believing you were referring to when you started to learn about Buddha. And instead of just believing in Jesus, you're like, oh, there's other teachers.
Yes.
And we don't just go, oh, it's okay if someone still believes that Jesus is the only one, or there is only one teacher. That's perfect.
That's okay.
Right. And someone could say the devil exists, and you can say, that's okay.
That's okay.
But we don't put an energy of blame around it.
The reason why I'm saying I come from Africa,
yeah.
I wish you were born in Africa and you know what is like. When I come here, even some people don't believe in God and all those kind of things, but they believe in Santa Claus. But it's okay. But I mean, I'm not here to judge anything. The reason why I'm saying I respect it because I will never put them down.
Right.
Because got to respect it because that makes people go on. You know, somebody will believe in the witch and is doing the right thing and it's work for. But the thing is, they use that witches and to manipulate our minds, and even the Adam and Eve story. I respect it. I don't believe it because it make our women, they think, oh, I'm not whole. I am sinner. I need to go and wash myself.
The story
I
said
need
that
this order. Someone wrote his story, and we believe in stories in Africa.
Stories, right?
And that is why some years ago I used to be angry about it, but now I don't. I laugh at it because when you laugh, you feel good.
Yeah.
Because you say, "Wow, I'm glad." Even sometimes when I talk to somebody, I say, do you know I'm learning from you? So, oh, no, you can't learn anything. So I say, even if I'm not learning anything, the way your negativity makes me feel like, wow, I'm glad I'm not there anymore. Yeah. But who am I? We all do mistakes. Sometimes I say some negative, but I will change it silently. I make my mind like a sieve. So even if I'm listening to anybody, I take what I want to take.
Yeah.
I know, like many years ago, I want to believe everything people.
Yeah. You choose what you take in. And you mentioned, so it like reminds you of how even in the rise of the feminine or understanding more of like accepting all things, we refer to history as his story.
His story, that's it.
You said yesterday, you said something, it was your song. Oh my gosh, the song where you said, he looks like me and she, what was that line?
She looked like me, he looked like you. I saw God walking down the street. She looked like you. He looked like me.
Yes, and you gave the feminine and the masculine to it. And referencing to that we are obviously all the feminine and masculine within, yet I love that you even brought that to awareness, that there's these stories even in religion that have been created that then they have this energy and vibration. I remember thinking the same thing. I was very much raised in like, you don't speak up, you don't be heard. You as the woman, it's like your job is to, the man is the head of the household. That was what I was raised in as well. And, Shanti, you're shaking your head. I know you've had quite the journey with healing all things and feminine, masculine. We all have, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let me hear from you because I have something to say about this. Man is the head. Yeah.
So, Afro, you were saying before about acceptance of all things. And I loved what you said when people start speaking negative to you, how you actually respond to that.
When I'm talking to you, if I don't know you and I'm talking to you, Afro, why are you doing here? Oh, there's no money in this business. Music is here, it's poor, it's this. Oh, I don't. If I hear all this negative, I give you respect by nodding my head. Oh, it's okay. But silently, not me.
Right.
This doesn't make sense for me. For me, everywhere I go, everything is there, abundance. I'm just talking to you. You're talking to me, but I'm replying. I'm taking what is good for me. And what is not, I change it back to me.
So you're holding space for that person, but you're choosing not to take it on.
Yes.
That they can have their own experience.
The person.
Yeah.
And also I'm learning how to listen more. Like you say,
interesting, right? But you don't have to take it on. Yeah. And this is a huge key. I mean, like you're dropping nuggets and we're blaring past them, but there is like breaking and dissecting these down that people actually understand what you're saying is that you're saying, because if every single person is here for their own experience of this human experience, we're here to experience all things, all emotions, etc. To say you have to think like me or be this religion or do that would be extremely unconscious, right? It would be literally taking ownership of someone else and saying, it's like a parent who says, I'm going to figure it all out and I'm going to tell my child how they need to be. And actually, we're just hurting them because we're not allowing them to be the divine beings that are learning their own journey. So what you're saying is in any interaction, this is why at the beginning you said, doesn't matter what someone believes or is experiencing, I give them respect. Yes. Meaning we base it out of respect because the energy is I accept you for whoever you're being, whatever truth is for you, and whatever you're here to experience in your contracts right now and in the holy human experience you're having. And you also honor and respect yourself in that you choose what you believe for you. You don't go, oh, you think that and you're shouting out your negative words at me. You don't even blame them, shame them. You just simply acknowledge that to be true for them. So we allow people to have their own experience. And I love that you said in your mind, you're actually giving yourself the affirmations that resonate for your body. You're like, for me, abundance is everywhere. And this is the coolest thing is, so someone at the event that runs the event yesterday said to me, how did you meet this guy? Because so I'm so blessed, right? That you. So I'll give a little framework. Amazing. Yeah, I'll give a little framework. So I drop in and I get told, do this event here in Sydney. This is very short-term turnaround to be like, cool, we're going to throw an event, let's find a venue, etc. And we're filling into events, and Shanti here is so tapped in. Her energy is so in alignment. She's like, she tunes into venue spots, and she's like, I'm getting the dome. And we're like, what's the dome? And then we find out Ito, who's also a famous musician and a very beautiful conscious singer and a friend of Shanti Mission, all the peeps, he's building this sound dome that is meant to be for sacred transformational space, community, etc. Well, so we reach out and Ito's like, yeah, well, it's being built right now, but it's not going to be finished till the 16th, which is a week after I was planning on doing it. So we're like, all right, cool, we can flow. Like the universe drops in and gives us everything. And we decide we're going to go for the 17th. They're even like, well, I don't know that it's possible. And everyone just feels this divine alignment to it and says, you know what? It feels like this is meant to happen. So here we have people booked out months in advance to be in the Sound Dome. And all of a sudden we drop in and we get handed the very first event at the Sound Dome to activate the codes there. And this was like, we barely got a yes, like a confirmation of this. And Shanti and I don't know where we were. What were we? Was this coming back from Jarvis Bay? I don't know. We were adventuring.
Somewhere.
We were exploring. Yeah. And we just were in the flow of where the energy was going. And we went to this place where this event was happening simply because I was looking for Wi-Fi so I could send stuff to my team. And so we're kind of hidden off to the side doing our thing, and you walk in.
At the Rhythm Hub.
That's when you walked in, and I'm like, literally felt your essence and frequency, like, who is this being that's just walked in with, like, you have such a beautiful divine energy, and you know Shanti, and you guys are like, and I think I said like 5 words and you were like, you had me stand up and we all held hands and just felt each other's essence and frequency. So literally I get handed the event space. We decide we're going to do it. I meet you and you're like, maybe I can make it. And you last minute, it was yesterday morning before was it yesterday morning?
Yes.
Yeah, before the event that you're like, I can jump on a train and make it. So here I'm so blessed that we did this amazing, beautiful day.
I felt you when I met you.
Yeah.
Too. And I said, wow. To know this person.
And I'm so honored by that because obviously we're reflections for each other of the mirror that we get to be of our frequency and essence. And I thought the same thing. Oh my gosh, this being's amazing. Of course, if you want to jam out with us and come, yay. And you showed up and got there at the end of the day to take them from this beautiful divine transformational day they had to then rocking out your music. And that's what we mean by when we believe in we trust the process and flow of life, abundance is everywhere. That's your belief, that's my belief, that's your belief, and it just showed up.
That's why we are here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we are all like a GPS. So if you wake up and you say, oh, it's a bad day, you meet all those people. And if you say, wow, it's a great day, wow, and you meet that. So even racism is a mental disease. A lot of people, they are black or from Jamaica or wherever, or Africa or Australia. We can create it because we are creating our individual reality. Because if you wake up and say, oh, I don't like this. One song I sang last week, I was singing in the end. I said, a Big Mama. I wrote a song, Big Mama. I said, at the end of, when I say the response, I could be your president. What's the name?
Trump's
daughter.
It took me a second too because I don't pay
attention. Trump's
attention.
daughter is going to fall in love with me. And everybody laughing. And I said, yes. And I said, because you don't need to be angry with Trump.
Right, exactly. I teach that all the time.
Because he's his own. He hasn't seen what I've suffered before. So, and everything that you condemn comes to your house.
Exactly.
I remember when I was in school, if I say, I target a girl, I say, wow, this girl, I want to be with her. And I tell my students, people, I was not tall, not handsome, like whatever, nice, great. And I tell my friends, I'll be with this girl. So, so give me 1 week.
And he was with the girl. You do have a massively cool hair load of dreads. When you unwrapped that thing and it went down to the floor, I was like, what?
So all this thing I know from my childhood, if focus, it's energy, you know. And now I learned that, wow.
Yeah.
But it was good. I lost. Okay. I'm talking about the human is the head thing. Like my mother said, they were talking about, I think it was my mother or my grandmother, I forgot. They're talking about, the man is the head and blah, blah.
Right.
And they're talking to my mother or my grandfather, mother, I think. You wake up and say, okay, if the man is the head, okay, respect it. But we want to tell you that we, the women, we are the neck.
Yeah.
So if you don't tell, and I used to tell this story in some of my shows. It's amazing.
It's a good story.
Because many years ago, women are not allowed to go to altar. You know?
To the altar.
Yeah. They make, you see, I sat an 18-year-old girl down and I asked about menstruation.
Yep.
And the things he told me, I wish every man could hear. And I put it on Facebook. Some people make comment about it, and there's some men who believe in Adam and Eve story don't agree and all that.
Yeah.
And you see, all these things, men don't know anything about it.
Right.
It says like how women sometimes feel love, sometimes feel all this we don't know.
It's literally like a cosmic portal energy that is activating things when the woman is experiencing the womb. And if you read into and study into womb awakening, the feminine that's been so suppressed, you really find that back in the day when women were bleeding, they would bleed, literally walk around in public with their head held high, bleeding down their leg because it was honored. And that's how far it's come from that to being shamed, that it's like, oh no, I'm on my period and I should act normal and feel good. There are all sorts of things. There's a lot there.
And because of the Adam and Eve story, when this cats tame all these women in my country, that's what I'm going to make a documentary about. When I was in school, but now I don't see anymore. But still, like, you see somebody's car at the back, they write cars, money is good, money is evil, fear woman. That fear woman used to ring in my mind. Why should I fear woman?
Yeah. It's all perception. That what's beautiful that I love that you're bringing light to even is when you said that you wake up and you complain, and whatever you condemn, you bring energy to. It was when the whole election was going on, and there was even some of my very conscious, beautiful friends I saw giving attention to fighting Trump or fighting that energy. And I thought, well, this is interesting. Like, why would you ever put any energy towards something that you don't want or don't like? And what is beautiful is we know everything is a sacred contract. So see, we look at it and go, oh yeah, he's experiencing whatever he's here to experience. And he's triggering the fuck out of a lot of people so that they can actually become awake and alive into, you know, what it is that they get to heal.
Good.
And what's so beautiful is now you look at what I've seen happen is the shift of so many people saying, wow, okay, we can't put it outside of ourselves to control our destiny. And this is the same thing religion does. I'm going to wait for God to give me permission. I'm going to wait for a higher frequency to give me permission. Same thing by saying, oh, our president or our government is in control of our lives. And even today I saw someone say like, this just got passed and, you know, this is going to hell and fuck our government. And it's like, wow, that's so interesting. It's so interesting that we choose to have our lives be affected by someone else when really what it's done is that people go, wow, you know what? How do I choose to now take control of my life? Meaning, how do I become a higher frequency?
Very important.
Yeah, very important.
Because see, one thing in life I've learned, every time you put anybody down, you're raising that person up. So Trump, all these people, sometimes they go to psychology school. They teach
it's energy.
Them. Yes, energy.
You give more energy
they can
towards
make
something.
You,
Right.
Then you are putting up, you're raising the person.
Yeah.
Up.
One of my favorite stories about Mother Teresa is how if she got invited to anti-war rallies, because you'd think, well, hey, you're for peace. Again, we talked about this yesterday in breaking down the unconscious gap why people aren't manifesting, is they're putting focus towards something that is opposite of what they want. And so it's like, if anti-war rallies would invite Mother Teresa and she would say, thank you, and when you invite me to a peace rally, I will attend. And so it's like I don't know if you've ever heard about it. In the States, I think it's called MAD. It's like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. when people started putting focus against something, it raised through the roof in stats of what. So drunk driving rose because there was more focus on it instead of, okay, we want peace. How do we put our focus on peace? We want safe roads. We want safe driving. How do we put our focus on safe driving? And it's this very unconscious way that we've been programmed. The ads we see and everything is on what we don't want instead of us focusing on what we do want. So really you're reaffirming this beautiful positive energy.
It's very important to think and talk about what you want, because what you want, universe, Esther and Jerry, they brought this law of attraction.
Yes, we love
through
it.
them,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Whatever no or yes is bringing.
Right.
So why, if you assuming that, oh, Shanti is doing bad thing to me, why you can assume that, oh, you're doing good thing to me?
Yeah.
Instead of...
What you judge, you get to keep, right?
That's it.
And we also know that whatever you're seeing is what you're projecting. It's what you get to heal. So Shanti's doing this to me. Oh, interesting that I had that judgment. Again, that's the respect. That's the honor of like, interesting, let me take radical responsibility. How do I do that thing? How am I actually the one that's doing that right now?
And the thing I learned also from Abraham Hicks. It says, a belief is a thought we keep thinking, and it's true.
What? Yes. Say that again. That's a really good analogy.
A belief is a thought.
Is a thought we keep
and it's true.
Thinking.
True, because you can believe something and it becomes your truth.
Yeah.
Then you say, oh, I told you. But it could be negative, but because that's what, you see, this is what going on.
Because it's repeated.
This is going on in Ghana. When I went to Ghana, some pastors will tell you, oh, even one guy, he said, oh, not knowing, I found out that. So when we die, we die, especially when you become like famous or something like that, like Bob Marley or Michael Jackson or something.
Afro Moses.
You die.
He's saying when he dies, though. We're not ready for you to transition. There is no dying anyway. It's a transition.
You die and your spirit is hanging. So some people can channel it. You see, the thing I like about Abraham Hicks is like multi-conscious.
Oh, the language is
and then
so
passing through.
Right.
So when you ask question, there's a lot answering.
Yeah.
You see. So, and now I find that when I went to Ghana, there's a lot of pastors, prophets, because of what they believe has
been anchored in.
Yes. They talk with passion, like, and I say, So go, say, believe. It's a thought we keep thinking.
Yeah. So you're even bringing truth to like neural pathways and just the way that I was talking about yesterday, how 95% of what we do is memorized. And how in our environment, so this is why people were seeing that they think, oh, like environment is like who we're hanging out with. And yet what we got to look at is like, what is actually the unconscious thoughts, patterns, beliefs, behaviors from you walk in your kitchen? What are the thoughts you have? You're like, oh, I don't know what I can eat today because I'm on a diet, right? Like, oh my gosh, you're re-anchoring in chemically that I'm not worthy, that I'm not enough. And this is every time you walk in your kitchen and it's just there. And so you're bringing light to that we replaying these stories and these beliefs. And then it creates that this is the easiest pathway for my brain to think. This is how I've been programmed to think. And so it becomes this noticing. I love getting it back down to energy, like energy never lies. And so you're saying like, if I speak some things, wow, I can tune in and go, are those things actually, are they going to give me joy?
Yeah.
Or are they going to give me suffering?
That's it.
And that's all it comes down to. It's like, I was like, guys, whatever story you believe, it's because we do honor all stories are true, right? Everything is true. Whatever someone is choosing to believe with passion, etc., it's true for them.
For that person.
Right?
Like I was talking to her when we came in many years ago, I would never sit in front of car. Because my mom told me, I don't know when they saw some heavy accident or something like that. So a time came, I said, no, this is my mother's belief.
Right, you realized it's not even mine. It's other people's energy and other people's stories we've taken on, right?
Yes. When I came to Western world, you see, every book they read, they believe. Everything they believe.
Right,
everything.
without questioning it.
But
that's the same thing we've done with religion.
Question a lot.
Parents, we haven't questioned all the stories, and you actually chose to question it. It was like, why don't I? Shanti, as we were driving back last night, made a comment, and it was so funny, right? I was like, oh, wait, it's everywhere. And you're like, oh my goodness, where did that even come from? Like sometimes things just slip out of us and it takes us going, wait, does that feel good? I think that's the easiest thing to recognize is see, you choose to live in a vibration operation. I know Shanti does as well. Like this woman's like a floating happy bubble, like of flow. And I mean, I really want to do a show with her actually on following the flow of life, following the energy to receive. Because as we hang, and she's just such this beautiful magic of whatever feels good. And I mean, she's really brought more codes into my experience of even where I wouldn't even, I'd catch myself say, I think, and it's like, wait, let's feel into this. And she is like a Jedi at feeling and tapped in an energy. And so just being able to see how as we feel energy, because energy never lies, energy always tells us what's happening. Even yesterday, we saw people would speak words and what their words were trying to convince them of something, a validation. But yet their body was a different feeling. Like they're like, oh yeah, if I think about this, it feels good. But their body was literally heavy. And I'm like, let's break that down. And we could see that actually what they were focusing on, what their body was telling them was opposite. It was unconscious. It was negative. So feeling. And I mean, Shanti, you probably have so much to add around feeling and energy because it is like you're Jedi at that. That's what you do. You're a healer.
And talk, because you're I can no shyness, just go.
Yeah, well, I really believe that it's all about the feeling. You know, I spent so many years out of my body and not grounded here in the physical because I wanted to live the spiritual life.
Path. Mm-hmm.
And so then for me, it's been about bringing that spirituality into the body and grounding it into the body and actually feeling my body and honoring my body and feeling, you know, where the energy goes and flows and being open to that. Because once upon a time, I was so controlled in what I needed to do and where I needed to be and how I needed to act for, you know, to have the approval of other people, that now that I've come into full acceptance of myself, it's all about how do I feel, what honors me, what honors the other person, but what honors me first.
And see, in the past, you were using your head.
Exactly.
Right? You're like, I had to think about, like it was a thinking process because it was, how do I show up for everybody? What do I need to do? What's the perfect way to be? And we get to start to learn. Yesterday we were breaking down that it's like, stop trying to figure it out with your brain because logic just doesn't exist. Because as we just said, all logic is true because it's based on what you're choosing to see it through. Whatever perception you choose is your logic and it's true for you. And someone could have the completely opposite logic and it's true for them.
Whose truth is the true truth.
Right. And so when we know that the body will always, because it recognizes energy, the body will always tell us what's happening and what's going on. So you brought that even to more awareness for me. And I just want to honor that as I've been around you here in Australia was like, whoa, I'd catch myself being like, well, let's think about what would work best. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Let's feel into how does us doing that feel? What are we actually feeling right now? And energy would just shift and that's how we met you, Afro, is we just followed the energy of what felt good. And we threw our plan out the window. What we were originally feeling would feel good, completely shifted. And we were willing to give ourselves permission to just do what is the most nourishing thing for me right now.
We're being led by the heart.
Right. Heart consciousness. And that's really what we're coming into is going from, I mean, I love that we've evolved and we are continuing to always evolve as a species and we're actually getting to share these codes.
They don't teach us that evolution in Africa. All we know is Adam and Eve. I'm telling you.
Well, and in all of, I mean, you look in every society and in every environment, it is domestication. It's based on conditional love. If you show up this way, if you believe this, if this is how you act, if and when and could and should and and all the programs we have and the labels we have and all this leads us to we're walking around domesticated. We're walking around disconnected, as you like to say, disconnected from the remembrance of who we truly are.
That's why we are not broken, because we are here, we live in a contrast world. Because if we don't pass through all this, how would you see? And that's it. That's why.
If you don't pass through all this, how would you see? That's what you said.
How would you feel? How would you see that I'm in the right place?
Right. I just want to make sure people understood what you said. If you don't pass through all this, how would you see? If you don't experience all this, how would you know? If you don't go through the mess, you don't find your message.
That's why it's very important in my music. I talk when I play.
You channel.
Regret, shame, self-hatred, guilt. When you take this from your life, your life becomes changed.
Right.
For those people who have maybe their father raped them and all those things. If you can sit your father down, that father, because we all born good. Everybody's born good.
Perfect
But when if you can sit your father down and hear his story, then you will never. Some people live with their mother and a father. Here, Denmark, Europe, I've been to many countries. And they grow up, your mother carry you 7-9 months, vomiting and all those. And you came, and now you don't talk to your mom.
Right.
If you can sit down and ask your mom or your dad the story, then you will understand the reason why. Because my father told me I would never forget. I asked a question to my father, before he died.
Yeah.
He said, apart from me, him and my mother, they are after God, or wherever the spirit is, my mother and him. And he said, why? He says, look, it's my father I tell you, this is amazing now. Wherever he is, maybe you listen to me. He said, when I have sex with your mom, my last breath was, and it's true, we all do.
Oh, it's a relief.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you come here, and whatever your mom, your dad, whatever, you just forgive and go with your life. You don't take their pain, all the thing, and I don't talk to her, I don't get it. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
We got to leave it. If you sit them down and hear the story, or the father that raped you, or if you hear his story and the trauma, the things that has gone through, then
he was most likely sexually abused, and is exactly why he's created the same experience. The thing is, what I love you're bringing light to is that if we chose, and if we all knew, we came from this understanding that whatever we're experiencing is, you said, there's something there to learn. We chose it.
It's a teacher.
And I said yesterday, it's our soul's kindest act for us is what's right in front of us. And our journey is always available to us right in front of us. And if we actually could see even our mother and our father and any being that we have any experience or resistance with, and see them through the eyes of maybe what you could say is God, right? Like see the good in God in everyone and everything, and say, what is your life experience? What is your story as to why this was there for you? But see, a lot of times we're attached and we have expectations.
Attachment is the problem. Attachment is the problem.
So you can't see your parents for beings of divine light.
That broke up a lot of relationship. My ex, I wouldn't say any bad thing. She was a great.
Your former.
But she said expectation to, because we are all different. Everybody is there. And that's why that's break up a lot of people. And then when they break up, they didn't even care about the children. They just fighting about legacy and all those kind of things. But then expectation, attachment. Now I'm learning even before when I bought a tape and it lost. Wow, I've been here. Now I say, maybe it's okay.
Yeah, I had an attachment. So if something creates suffering in your life, you realize you had an attachment or you had an expectation from it, versus honoring, that was in my life to serve me when it did. And if obviously I need that thing, I have an attachment to it. It's such a beautiful.
And because you see, we are here as contrast world. You came, your teacher, your husband, your boyfriend, my ex-wife. The thing we do, my ex-wife, when he left me, 11 years, 12 years coming, I was mad, like I was, and he knows what to say to make me angry. And one day I was working and said, why don't you stop? Why are you using her as an excuse? And it's true. When I started to think of all the good things she used to do for me. And now when I go and visit my daughter, I could see her voice change everything because I changed her through me. Because
you
I can't
changed your
change
relationship with the relationship.
Yes.
And as you change yourself, your reality
That's
changes.
it. Is it. See, so when we face anything like people who their father raped them and all that, it's all a teaching. It's a teach. So that, wow,
How can I learn to forgive? What's the lesson in this for me, right? Yeah, learn all things, experience all things. What I love about the lesson of forgiveness, what it taught me is that, or the framework for it was that through understanding, we can find forgiveness. So if people took your advice, like you just said, where you said, if you actually sat with your mother or father and just said, what's been your story? It's interesting to see how many people you get raised by these people, and yet you've never even really sat and gotten to know them or their stories or their experiences. You just took on their beliefs, their patterns, their programs, their behaviors because you've been doing it since the time you were little. And when I really dove into understanding like multi-generational contracts and epigenetics and your DNA and understanding how you're taking on, you're literally like you were taking on what your mom was feeling as you were in her womb, and you were literally in the eggs of your mom when she was in her mom, like, and this multi-generational contract of healing that you chose in on. And when I understood this connection, it got me really curious to even at another level understand my family lineage. And I had the greatest, I already had healed amazing, beautiful relationship with my mom because I've been on this journey and path. And yet to hear my mom's stories of what she experienced as a child and then see how they were my stories because I had taken on those programs, but I didn't even really know what she had experienced. And it just reaffirmed for me that through understanding, we find forgiveness. And I'll just share real quickly, or I'll share perfectly, catch that little, we were laughing about the silly unconscious things we say that we get programmed, like, oh, I'll just go pee real quick. And we're like, wait a minute.
I'm like, take your time.
Actually, I'm going to take my time when I go pee because I'm worthy of a good pee and letting my body do it. So sharing this, I shared at the event how just this last week I had from something that showed up in my life in front of me, I noticed in my body, it didn't feel good. And as I got curious about it, I was feeling betrayal. And betrayal led me to what was behind betrayal was feeling abused and then feeling abandoned and then feeling the core wound of I'm not good enough. I'm not even worthy of being supported.
When was that?
This was this last week. So some standard everyday thing that just happened that I noticed didn't feel good as I got curious led me to this whole pathway and finding this story or finding within me that my 15-year-old girl never grieved my father's death. My dad passed away when I was 15. And in that time frame, what I took on was I got betrayed because I felt abandoned. My dad left, my family. It felt like I lost. My world growing up was already very much sacrifice, hard settle, all these belief systems from religion and all sorts of things. Yet it was like another layer of crumbling because the world I did know fell apart when my father passed. And as I got to then feel all that and heal all that, I had a conversation in my mind with my father to hear what had gone on for him. And I also had gotten to have a conversation with my mom to hear what was going on for her because I took on abandonment because at the time, my mom felt so scared of being alone with my dad passing, she just disappeared. And she was off to just, her belief was, how am I going to survive without a man? Because of the religion we talked about of having the man is the head of the household, the man is in charge. So she ran off to try to find a man. And here I was at 15 feeling like my whole family fell apart and I got abandoned and I lost my mom too. Now through that, because I've done the years of conscious conversations, I knew I'd already had conversations with my mom about what she experienced when my dad died. How for her, she felt scared and had no idea how she was going to provide and support and completely alone and so scared that that's all she knew. So we'd already had this healing conversation, but when it came up that I found that layer that I got to heal into where I felt this abandonment, it was like, oh, that's right. I remember what mom was experiencing was she was experiencing feeling abandoned as well. And I also got to see how-
It's a natural thing. It comes to a lot of people.
It's all layers.
We all.
Just like I could have felt like she hurt me and she abandoned me, she was feeling abandoned. And just like I felt like my dad betrayed me, I recognized how in the process of my dad passing, how I actually felt like I betrayed my own father because I couldn't even be around him because it was so hard for me to see him sick. So we see that we're all doing it. We're all, whatever we're seeing is actually what we are. If we can't accept that we are that as well and how we're doing it, there's a lack of allowance and seeing the truth or the light behind it that allows the healing. We're just labeling it some dark, horrible, oh, my mom did this to me, my dad did this to me, this is what happened when I was 15, this is why my life was shit, blah, 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 blah. Until we actually find understanding, the understanding leads to forgiveness. And so if we can just get curious to go, oh, you know what? What could be happening for this person that they're actually, that is what they're saying. Think about the life Trump has to be experiencing the way that he views the world. You go, wow, I just find so much compassion for him to see his 6-year-old little inner child that is really in a corner in fear going, I have to be the one in charge and control and it has to be this way or I'm not enough. That could be what's operating for him. I don't actually even know. That's all assumption. I don't know.
Or he could have been brought in to shake up the world.
Right, exactly. It is a sacred contract.
You see, even what Trump is doing is so good.
So good.
Because it brings contrast. You see, it's bringing people, uniting people now.
Right.
And because he grew up in this way, you know, the things he's doing, it make you aware. Then you say, wow. Because he's being honest.
Yeah, he has radical honesty. He totally is owning the codes of being honest to say what he wants to say.
That's it.
Right.
And for me, I don't see him as a bad person. I see him the good because sometimes because he grew up. The way I passed through things, today, I used to sleep 5-star hotel, me alone. 3 beds, then me alone sleeping. If you knew where I've been sleeping, and now I can sleep anywhere.
Yeah, because you're just about service and traveling we're both doing the global nomad thing, just going wherever to serve.
So the things I've learned from this are happy. So I used to give respect to what he's saying because it's even uniting us. Right now, people getting aware because when you say Trump is coming here, you will see a lot of people there because it's uniting the people.
Yeah. It's just like Hitler or any other individual in our life where people could be like, how could you say they're good?
Yes.
When we choose to see the good in God and everything, we do see they are good because they're fulfilling their purpose. They're fulfilling their contract. And we can choose to either go, we learned horrible things, or we can go, wow, we can see that that's a specific way of being. And that's someone practicing being human in that way. If I want the opposite, if I want to be the energy of love versus the energy of hate, now I can choose what would my actions be to be the energy of love. And I practice being that, and I can build that frequency in the world just as well. And that can be my world.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's amazing because we don't need to, because there's good in everything. Just look at him and see the good. Because of course, we all. If you become a president,
Shanti for president.
Do you think the whole world will love you?
I might actually vote. I've never voted.
There's always you're gonna favor some people. You will never. It's like me when I perform. You know, sometimes I say funny things. I say, "I'm glad you all came, but I know that 90% love me, but 10." I can't satisfy everyone. Because if you don't like me, it's your problem.
Right. Yeah. It's none of your business.
It's not my problem.
It's not your business, it's their business, yeah.
And then if I have that attitude, sometimes when I have the attitude, it becomes like I'm trying to be snobbish. But no, it's like I'm trying to be like, I don't want things to bother me because if you don't like me, it's your problem.
I think it's honoring.
Yes.
I feel like, when we're honest and we're honoring, and I kind of experienced years ago when I was known as the Fuck Yes Life Mentor and people knew everything was about being fuck yes, as I started to teach people the codes of their worthiness, what would come up is, how do you create those boundaries in your life to honor yourself and honor other people? And the world could see it as like, oh, you're being a bitch, you're being an asshole because you won't just do what I want you to do, which is actually it's a low vibrational level of showing up for people. And we go, well, I guess I'll meet with this person just because they are asking me. And I started to become really clear on alignment and asking questions and vibration. And I would ask, thank you for letting me know that you want to meet up with me. Help me understand why. And I would get curious. And when they would, not really have a clear reason, I would get more curious. And then it would come down to like, well, I'd love to show you my da-da-da and see if you do this, or, they would want to pitch me something. But it wasn't coming out at the beginning that they'd want to pitch me something. As I could tune in and go, does that feel in alignment for me to put my attention, effort, and energy there? If it's not in alignment with my purpose, then all I had to do was say, thank you for letting me know. Yes. I honor you for what you're choosing to focus on. For me, that wouldn't align with my commitments right now. And so what I can do is I can support you by, I can connect you with so-and-so, because it takes honesty to know what we're doing. But see, we've been trained in this really hidden languaging system of what can I take instead of what can I give. But I remember when I first started really doing this, there was one experience I had where because I, got clear in a conversation with a girl, and she just wanted to hang out. She just thought I was a cool, conscious person, and she was conscious, and she wanted to just get together. But I was like, I appreciate that, and that's really not an alignment for my time and effort and energy, the values that I have for the people that I am committed to, my clients, my kids, etc. And I heard later through the community, it was like, Marci Locke's a bitch because, she just want to hang out with me. Well, it was a couple years later that this person actually said, she became a good friend, actually. She became a part of the tribe of friends that I did connect with. And she said, I get it now. She's like, at the time, I didn't love myself enough. I didn't hold my standards of my own level of worth to be able to say that giving my energy or attention or effort or time to someone, that's not an alignment for me. I couldn't have said no. And so I judged you for saying no. And I was just obviously her perfect trigger, right? So her perfect mirror.
It's going on a lot. And then for me, the women suffer more because, you see, they gave us 5 senses, okay? We have to satisfy all of it, okay?
We got 6.
6, okay. Yeah, we have to satisfy all of it, And sometimes with it, so for me, at this time of my life, because love is a general thing. You can't even give it to only your children.
Love is the most natural thing that exists.
Natural and general thing.
It is the
you
energy
can't
of
give
creation,
it, yeah.
Right?
So for me, I learned it from Abraham too, It says, collecting data, then you get the right person. You don't go, because a lot of people are finding love. I want searching for who can tell me I love you and things. No.
Outside validation.
Right. For me, when my ex-wife left me, sometimes I go to the pub and say, wow, I really want somebody. I want to have sex.
Right.
Yeah. And I put it there. I go there. I will find somebody who is into that space. It's not wrong. Abraham talk about it.
Sexual energy.
Yes. But for the woman, think that when you open, I have you. No, it doesn't work like that. You see, it's very, very, very important because there's a lot of people when they get terrible relationship, they broke. They don't even want to hook. They
block their sexual energy.
Yeah, they don't want to hook. They hug them. They going like this.
Triangle hug.
Yeah, so he's showing the image of when you hug someone and you pull your body away and like you're touching up top. Yeah, a triangle.
That's it.
Yeah, a space in between.
Because you see,
energy always shows everything happening.
When we sit and if you feel like go to toilet, you go. When you feel like drinking, you drink. When you feel like sex, you go to.
Yeah, you said
that. But the thing is, see, we mix sex and love, and that's why we suffer a lot. Because
we mix love
and sex,
all other things that create suffering too, right?
Yes.
Instead of it just being clear.
Yeah. So for me, when I left for that 12, I learned a lot about being me and who. Sometimes, excuse me to say, I can masturbation. And I get it out because it's very, very good. If you have any friend who get migraine headache, tell that person to do it for yourself.
Well, there's 2 things with that. Okay, so I teach masturbation as a part of self-loving. Like it's like, well, first off, we think, okay, there's 2 layers to this I really want to make sure we let people hear is that one is, if I ever think that I require something outside of me to have it, I'm not being the source of my own experience or the powerful master sovereign creator that I am. If I go, well, I can't have pleasure until that man comes into my life or until I'm in a relationship or whatever story I'm saying I am not worthy and I'm lacking something, that I'm not whole. Instead of me going, if I really feel sexual energy and I feel in alignment to give myself self-pleasure in that way, awesome. I'm honoring myself. And that is one of the greatest vibrational manifestation energies. I would teach a lot of $1 million clients literally like, okay, when you decide to like self-pleasure, this is like when you express like those creations and those intentions, because it is a creation energy. Sexual energy is simply creation energy. So and blocking that is what really fucks with a lot of people.
Very, very good because it gives you, it's more than even like saxing, Yeah. I'm telling you. And the thing is, it relieves you, it takes a lot of stuff from because migraine headaches and all those caused because we've broken one part of the...
Yeah, and that's the other aspect, though, that I feel like is really important to clarify, is see, if people just go, I'm feeling something that doesn't feel good, I'm going to go do something to distract. So if someone has a headache and they go, well, I'm just going to go masturbate, they're actually spiritually bypassing why the headache is there. So I feel like it is important to go, whoa, wait, why am I angry right now? Because the head reflects the emotion of anger. So it's like, or something. So just even to go, what am I really seeking, requiring? If it is that I have energy that gets to be released, like someone might have energy in their body, and of course, any sexual expression, it's like doing an energy shakeout. I had...
Yeah, anything that could,
right.
Of course. Like when
in
I was,
alignment with it, for your highest good, though, is what I want to make sure people hear, that it's not like, well, because otherwise you could say, oh, I'm feeling a lot of energy, I'm just going to go get some food, or I'm going to go turn on the TV, or I'm going to go grab a sexual partner, instead of it being for a reason. And I know that's what you meant. I want to make sure people are clear.
Yes, clear, because you see, I'll give you an example. I was in tape school. I was doing my diploma for sound. And one girl, it's not my friend, it was in my class, but I've been seeing her for some time. And it was standing, because I could feel people's energy. So I was saying, wow, what's wrong? So I had a headache.
Yeah, you took on their energy. Yeah.
Then when I asked her, and then something comes to me to ask her, I said, excuse me, when is your last time you have sex? Mm-hmm. And he find me like a weird, he don't know
what,
me. And I am always straight, you know.
Like, you're radically honest. Yeah.
What
do you feel?
Then he said, oh, I can't remember, maybe a year or two.
Wow, yeah.
Or like 1 year or
it's amazing you tapped into that.
And I said, look, I'm not being stupid. When you go home, try and do something to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay? Then to yourself and get your orgasm.
Yeah.
Then I could see the way she look at me is like weird. And within 1 month, I didn't see her.
Yeah.
He came to school.
She gave you a hug.
Not knowing, friend also tell the same thing. Yeah. And he did that thing because he was broken.
Right. There's so much shame around sex and stories about sex.
That's it.
And I had it too. I remember when I first... Because, I mean, I was raised Mormon, LDS, and the religion was, I mean, we didn't even you never even could say the word masturbation without being like, I mean, it was all hush hush, you know, like extremely. So, of course, there were sexual stories. And as I started down my path in my own journey of awakening and remembering, one of the teachers, I won't say one of the first, but it was a couple years down the road, I had a teacher or a coach or a mentor that literally told me, you should, you know, get a sex toy. And I felt so shut down around it. I was like, no, why would I don't need something outside of me. And see, I still, at that time, I wasn't open to it. I couldn't take it in because it was so in my belief system that was wrong and it was bad. And there was just still energy for me to clear about it, to even say that like, no, like I also had broken through my stories around food in the body. So it was like, well, wait, that's like, just like me going in, why would I need that to make me happy? And I just wasn't fully, you know, in that place to receive that information. And so that's why we say it's perfect for wherever people are at. They might be like, I'm totally opposed to that. And someone else might be like, okay, let me question this story and say, why would I wait for me to have pleasure for when I can only have it from someone else? Is that really the way God designed me? Or is there abundance everywhere and in everything? And so it's finding that where it is in alignment, that you're accessing all of you. And that's really the thing here is, we're accessing all of us. When you said we've suppressed it, see, we've shut down our sexual energy, we've shut down our voice, we've shut down our feelings, we've shut down all of our multidimensional capabilities.
Even there's no disease. One of my songs says, turn your attention to meditation and say goodbye.
I know, I was like, you can jam for us, Afro?
And say goodbye to confusion.
Turn yourself to meditation.
No, turn your attention
to meditation.
And just say goodbye to confusion.
Beautiful. Yeah. That's the kind of beautiful messages that come out in his music.
There's no disease.
Yes.
When we are not at ease.
Right. When we're in flow.
Because if you sit here, like how we are talking about sex and Bible and all those
everything.
It's everything.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah.
You know? But if we sit here and we're talking about, cancer, we are creating all these kind of things. And if you, who are my ex, and I still fighting with you, and I didn't know till one night. Go back. I remember when I was small boy, my grandmother said, resentment causes cancer.
Yes.
In our language.
Why?
In our language, it says sipe kumnipa. Sipe means resentment. And then when I came to Western world, Denmark, Benue, they got a lot of cancer because people are not ready to
speak the truth,
especially
be honest.
I'm not putting Australia down. Australia is a beautiful country.
Yes, we love it.
I've done my 2 cataract, my eye, beautiful, and a lot of negativity. People talk about as being the man. Oh fuck! Then I used to say, if you don't have enough fuck, that's why you say that, But they take a lot of negative, and some of them to act fake. Oh, it's okay. So
that's the way we've been trained to act, is to hold it in, to not speak up.
I had a problem when I came to Australia, even Denmark.
Yeah.
When I came to your you want to give me coffee. I don't drink. I'm sorry. I can't. You have tea? They say it's rude. So you got to give me coffee and I drink it because I don't like it, then I drink it. No.
Because you have to show up and do what they want you to do. Is that what you're saying?
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You see, these are some of the things that you got to, your mom will say, oh, do this thing to me, I love you. Then you do because your mom wants to love you.
That's domestication. It's a conditional, we learn conditional love. If you do this, I'll love you.
Yes.
When you do that, I'll love you. It's a transaction. Yes, right.
And that is why the song, I love it so much. Like I got inspiration from Victor Wooten. Like you sing, she look like you look like me. It's unconditionally love.
Yeah.
And it's everlasting coming. Jesus coming is everlasting coming. It's coming. Right. It's coming all the time. It could be anybody. He came as the teacher.
Yeah.
But still, they are waiting for the Messiah to come. Mm-hmm. They even did another advert on Facebook. Like, wow. See, Abraham talk about all these things.
Yeah, well, and we were talking about this earlier, which I don't even know if this was when we hit record, but we were talking about how a frequency outside of you. A lot of times in religion, when I realized that was how I was raised. It's like, well, if God says it's okay, and it's putting a permission slip outside of you, which is just a different energy, instead of giving yourself, and that's why I say you are source. We are divine.
We all, everyone. You see, when we were coming out, I say, we're all born alone. When we die, we go alone. When we go sleep, we sleep alone. Even, look, this was about 3 years ago, I got this and said, wow, you see, when you're born, you love this baby. But at the end, when you go and sleep, you don't know where your baby is. And then you wake up before you see the baby. You see, so we are like this. And then we start to search outside, but it's inside there, because we go and sleep. We individually, when we all sleep. Even I'm sleeping with you, I sleep. Gone.
Yeah. So you're talking about your wholeness.
Yes.
Because like what I get from that and what I take away from what you're explaining, and you're giving us like body movements and everything that everyone on listening might not get, is you're saying like, I attune it to like, being in our own wholness is the only way we can give wholeness, right?
Because you.
So it's not, when we go back to attachments or expectations or anything, like I can have my kids are, oh my gosh, my growth partners are my mentors, my biggest mentors. And even when we talk about the languaging around these things, as we see the programs and the stories of how we have attachments, even to think I'm a mom, my kids need to act a certain way or be a certain way, or our relationship should be a certain way to be whole is actually false. Yeah. Instead, so it's coming back to, can I be whole and yet still have these relationships with other aspects of my life, and they're a part of my world, but you just said like we're all our own whole self. So what I take from that is, when I'm coming back to like what's been channeling through, is what I take from that is, can we become whole or be fulfilled as only ourselves in aloneness? Because I also believe we're not ever alone, right? Because we're not. We know that we're connected to all things and all energy, so it can confuse people, be like, wait a minute, I thought I wasn't alone. What you mean by that, from what I take from it, is that I am whole in my aloneness. I am the source of my own experience. I am all things.
Yes.
So there's nothing else outside of me other than me. There's me. Right.
And the thing is, see, all these children, they're just passing through us. We can't own them.
They're not my kids. I've said that for a long time. They're not mine.
Africa, that's what. But you see, I can understand the Western world, because 9 to 5. 9 to 5. They don't have not
9 to 5 is in the job, is what you're referring
job,
to. Yeah.
You see. And so I can understand. But Africa, when you're born, even here, sometimes when I love children, sometimes when I see children, sometimes when you preaching some children play with them, they look at you, who are you to play with my children? But I don't care. I just, the child is having fun with me.
Right.
And it's,
You're a big child at heart, because we're all living in this energy of joy, and hopefully that's the thing that people can really receive.
So what I was feeling into before when you were talking about forgiveness, a few things were coming up for me. It was almost like forgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. I love that.
That's beautiful.
So when we have unforgiveness in our heart, we're only affecting ourselves. It's not outside of us. It's all within ourselves. And the other thing that was coming through for me is when we were talking about Trump and parents, and how can we judge another when we don't know their story?
Right. God, that's a good song.
One.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You can turn that into a song.
Remind me, when we go in.
It's on recording.
Yes, that's good. That's a nice song.
Yeah. I'll write it down for you, Afro, because that was good. I love hearing your beautiful conscious words come out in music.
Good.
They were the tips of wisdom that were coming through.
They're beautiful. I'm writing down, how can you know someone unless you know their story?
How can you judge someone?
How can you judge? That's what you said.
When you don't know their story.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, if we took these principles and just chose to live by the principles of, well, actually, let's just make it more simple. It's just, what energy do we want to be vibrating? Because I recognize that if I want someone in my space to feel divine unconditional love, I get to be divine unconditional love. Then what I'm going to experience, divine unconditional love. And I say it over and over and over again, I say that my frequency is my highest priority, and that peace is my priority, because I know if I'm in peace, all things are flow and ease. Yeah. Again, if something's going to pop up that is out of alignment to peace, it's there for me to heal and love, to return it to an even greater vibration of peace. And let's look at it from more of I don't want to say ego, because I believe the ego is one of my besties. But yeah, I'll say, in looking at it from a framework of someone like that wants something from something, even if they're like, well, I want to be able to have something. When you realize that if I choose to be in peace, I can't tolerate shit in my life either. So it's like, that is the greatest way to receive what you want, is to actually vibrate what you want. And that means the healing process is to allow yourself to come to that. And in that, all the things exist, like we're talking about, where we find attachments and expectations and stories and programs and conditioning and domestication and all the things that are not in alignment to the core and the energy that truly is the energy of creation is love. Love is the most natural thing. It's always comes down to love.
Love resonates the word God.
And can I just add?
Yes, please.
The best teachings, I believe, is being that.
Right. The best teachings is being that.
Being
that love. For example, if you want to teach about love,
you gotta be
that.
Yes.
You can't talk love and be a hater.
I was in a detention. I got a contract there. They used to contract me, and then they took me permanent. But then I was working for 1 year, and they did the job finished. I forget the English call.
Like a contractor?
Yes, they finished. But then I used to tell the client, I taught a lot of women how to play guitar by using their mind, you know. And I did a lot of stuff. But I've considered it's not my ego, because one thing I'm learning is also we have to be careful, because we are here even to remind people. We can't do anything because they are just forgotten. So we are reminding them, because individually, we all reminding me, I'm reminding you, you're reminding me. That's what we are doing. When I go to the job, people, officer, bro, the great officer, because I play with them, with their mind also. Because I said, look, sometimes when we do meditation, for some of the Iran or Iraq, you'll be doing like this, sitting there. I said, out. Or then I put on the light. I said, look, we are in Australia. We got to learn how to be Australians. If you don't like it, you don't like the meditation, you go out. You know. Then sometimes I call, and they will come, and if you don't want to be stubborn, I call, because I was an officer, like an activity officer. And I call them. Then one subject I used to tell them about love is, I said, I've not been to women toilet, but I always go to the public toilet with the men toilet. And if you really, 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 I repeat, really more than, love who you are, when you go to set toilet, I really, really learning how to love myself. I go there, I take toilet roll and clean it.
Yeah.
Then I go to another one. But if you don't really, really love yourself, you go, you spray. You don't even take that in and go. Right. Because you don't have no love and respect for yourself. And that's what we do.
Because everything's a reflection.
Because they teach us fear God.
Yeah.
To me, it's not the right thing. Love God.
Right.
Because when I really, really, really love myself, when I'm doing something awful to you, I can feel.
Yeah.
But if I fear you, Marci, I can steal your thing. I can do all the hope. Then later I'll go, oh, God, forgive me.
Right.
And tomorrow I'll go.
Yeah, and it repeats. Yeah.
So if they can teach love instead of fear God.
Yeah, fear is the opposite. And I've always said it's our man-made creation, because love is the only energy that truly exists. Love is all things. And we started telling stories and creating fear. So it's like that's how religion controls people. That's how anything that is fear-based, anything that is not coming from the vibration of you're perfect, whole, and complete in love, then is creating fear. And it's a way of operating. So, I mean, there's so many beautiful takeaways from this conversation, just like ways of being. But, I think what has been so beautiful for me is to experience other divine beings such as yourselves, where you bring these gifts and codes, really, like, as you said, we're reminding each other. Yes. This is what this show is about.
If you're going around, if you use that word, I am here, that's what I use a lot. Like, I am here to remind you. Yes. At the end of this concert, I know some of you gonna record something at the back of your mind, but I'm not here to teach you anything because you know everything.
I love that you
say
that.
I'm just here to remind you what you have forgotten.
That is so beautiful.
Your spirit.
That's
right.
Put the light on you.
Because the truth is, everyone is already whole. They're not broken.
No.
Whatever they're experiencing that might look to them with a story that they're playing that they're broken is just what they chose for their own experience and healing and remembrance. And it is.
That's why we are all God.
Right. Yeah. We are. It's so beautiful.
So if I'm God, and then you remind me. Sometimes we've seen that kind of say, shit day, baby. Oh, Moses, what do you say?
Right.
You can remind me. Because we've been swimming in this negativity along for years, And the good thing is the mirror.
Yeah.
That I do every morning.
Yeah.
Looking at myself. See all the good thing you want in the mirror.
When you practice that, Moses, what you become is the person who can hold that field. Because I believe our only, and just for lack of a word that brings more understanding for people, as I'll use the word job, because we're actually opportunity. Our only opportunity in relationship is to hold the field of divine unconditional love, support, and acceptance. So when you choose to start to you hold that field for yourself, you catch it and you give yourself love and acceptance in whatever you're experiencing, and in the mirror, you become that field of it. And really, truly, if anyone gets anything from all this, it's like, how do we practice being a field of divine unconditional love, support, and acceptance for ourselves and for everyone else that we experience and everyone that we come into presence with.
And it's work, when you really, really learning how to love yourself, I'm telling you, it's like, now I believe that we all creating an individual reality. You see, sometimes I walk, somebody will come, you don't know me anyway, say, I like you, I really like you. Why? Because I like myself.
Exactly.
Right. Very true.
And they feel the essence of that.
Yeah. That's why I said we're all delivering codes. We're each a unique, beautiful, glorious, magical being with our specific gifts. And you were noticing how I say genius. Like, I'm like, well, this, and you're like, people tell me all the time. Someone told me yesterday from the event, one of the event planners was like, I love how you own it. Like, you just own who you are. And I get that all the time. And I'm like, that's one of my codes. Like, I share it with, because it's like, I get to choose to, and I have my moments where I'm like, I'm feeling all this stuff. I have my little girl moments, my shit moments, and all those things too. And yet I also know that because I'm all things, I can own that truth that this is what I'm here to share and be. We have these, if I didn't go through all my messes, as you said earlier. We didn't go through these experiences to know who we are, to learn who we are, to learn what our gifts and our codes are. So I freely use the word genius, but I remember years ago, I couldn't even say the word genius. Like, it was like, I couldn't have even said that I was a genius now, because I see everyone as a genius. I see the genius in everybody.
That's it.
Everyone has
That's
genius.
the key.
Everyone has gifts.
That's the key. In Ghana, some people call me the humble musician. That's what they call, because they said I don't boast, because they go to the internet, they see the things I've achieved.
Yeah,
and then I say, look, we're all stars.
Yes.
It shouldn't be music. It could bread maker.
Right.
Where everything.
Right. Everybody has a gift and a genius.
See.
And are they giving themselves permission to find or discover that and do what makes them happy? Because that is truly our dharma. When we choose happiness and just to serve, we find our dharma. So many glorious things.
And I give them some, then I say that, look, we are all gold. Gold, you know, gold?
Yeah.
Gold.
How do you get gold? How do you go the final gold, the real gold? So if all this mess around you, you got to dig yourself, and then shine up.
I like that. That's all part of our evolution.
Yeah.
Dig deep and shine. I like that. That's
so
another
beautiful.
song title.
Right. I think you guys could just jam out with song titles. And so I'll say this, is that for anyone who, like I said, you have so many videos on YouTube that are your music. When Shanti showed them to me, I just was like, I was so geeking out on the conscious languaging and the messages and the light and the essence and the frequency of your music. So look up, do they just look up Afro Moses?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to find you.
Yes, Afro Moses.
Yeah,
Yes.
you'll love.
If you even say, who is Afro Moses?
Yeah.
You'll
love
because
the music.
We're all great people.
Yes.
Everybody. Right. We don't have to put nobody. Even sometimes like Aboriginal people, and then we see them, we think them. No. I even said to the people about racism, even Africa, racism is there.
Yeah.
People, they treat other tribe like shit, you know? So, what?
Separation.
Yes.
Tribes.
So you come
do that.
here,
we do that everywhere.
Yeah, you come here and then you say, I'm black man and all the white people are no good. And they blah, blah. I used to, when I came to Denmark, one Liberian guy, I play on the street and he would, because I was famous in Ghana and I came, nobody knows me. That's where I went deep. And he told me, don't smile to the white people. They bought a slave. And I did. I could see I was going insane. And that brought me to even more into my depression. Because I never believed all those kind of things. When I play, we correct them, we take the thing, go around and collect money. And when I get, sometimes I can't even carry my, because I was very active. Yeah. Then that survived me. And this guy would some. Then I found out that, wow, why should I believe this?
Questioned it.
See?
Yep.
Not knowing all this. And a lot of people think that they have to put somebody as a blame. No. Even I come here, Australia, kangaroo, you walk. You never go back. But some Australians feel guilt because, our ancestors do this. So what? So what?
Yeah. And we'll just say that's the entire world.
Yes.
Because we find these behaviors in every country, in every tribe.
Yes.
And, in Africa or Ghana, you're saying there's tribes. Well, in America and Europe and everywhere I've been to, there's also people that put themselves in cliques or tribes or like we talked about yesterday at the event, someone, saying even like, or actually it was on my live the other day, we were saying how we don't even consider ourselves to say we're vegan or we're this or we're that because it's separation. Instead of just we're in tune with what feels good right now.
So some woman asked Abraham a question when it was channeled about he's a vegetarian. So one of my songs, I was singing about the vegetarian, about if you don't like me, take the highway. That's one of the songs. But he was asking about vegetarian because he's vegetarian. And he was angry and everything. Do you know that we're all killing every day? Then the woman said, no, I don't care. I said, when you came into this seminar, the ant and things that you killed before you come here. So what's the point?
We're all
If
murderers.
you eating
You
your
squashed a bug,
vegetarian,
yeah.
be respectful, respect other
Right.
people. Do they eat their cat or dog or whatever?
Yeah. It all comes back to respect and honor and love, huh?
And acceptance.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Beautiful.
And sometimes, anyway, it's enough.
Could be hours and hours of conversation here, but I'm so glad that Shanti, thank you for just being like, grab your microphone.
Anyway,
She's seen me record these shows and she's like, grab your microphone and hit record. This is going down. It was all beautiful.
Stop it.
I just want to honor both of you for your experiences that you share.
We honor you too. We
Thank
are
you.
We are all in it.
I know. It's just beautiful. That's what I said. It's just beautiful to share space with such divine beings who we're all here to remind each other of who we are. And I'm so grateful for the ability to share this with more people because people hear these messages and go, wow, I can actually choose in on that too. And so you guys are a gift in allowing us to see the good in God in all things. So thank you for sharing with me today.
Oh,
Maybe you can sing us out.
My voice is
Go to Afro Moses and check out a YouTube video and you will love the music.
I brought my guitar.
Yeah, you're like, where's my music?
Okay, we just sing a song.
Okay.
We sing a song.
Lama kontana bashone Ngulumanisu Haisu Thank you.
Thank you, Mas. Thank you, my friends, for joining me for another amazing conversation to create change. To allow that change to take place, please integrate the tools so that you can really receive the change into your life. And I invite you to join us for even more in the Best Life Tribe and continue on your path and your journey. And remember who you really are, a divine being that is already whole, already worthy, completely deserving, and fully capable to now claim and live the life you love.